Okay, everybody, this is where we get started with the open mic part. Okay, so before we get started, there's just a few things I'd like to say before I leave that. Just a few things. First of all, I have here a features list, and many of you are already signed up for the year, but those of you who have not signed up, please see me and get yourself on the list. If you get on now, in the next month or so, then 3 months later you can sign again. So every 3 months you're allowed to grab a feature. So that's like 4 times in a year, okay? So usually the regulars grab them, and then I try to keep some spots open for those of you who don't come that often. So there's plenty of opening in the rest of the year, and we got some openings coming up. For instance, next week I do not have a feature. So if somebody would like to be a feature next week, please see me. And April the 2nd, we will not have a feature. Starting on the 9th, the feature will be Dr. Dream, and you'll get to see her a little bit later on. On the 23rd, coming all the way back from England, is Connor Cogland. Those of you who have seen Connor here before, you know what an incredible performer he is. Not only are his songs beautiful, and not only does he play well, but he has the most beautiful voice, and he plays with a lot of feeling. I mean, the guy almost falls down from the intensity of the feelings that he puts out there, and I always like that with a singer. And then we don't have anybody until May 14th, and May 7th was Ryan Casada, but he's not going to be able to make it on May 7th. So we have openings then too, okay? Second of all, some names here I need to check to put to faces. Lewis.
Oh,
he's outside. Okay, Lewis is outside. You're Lewis. Okay, just putting faces together. Christopher, of course. Christopher. Oh, there you are, Christopher. This light in my eye. And the gods.
The gods. James Vane is on his way.
Okay, so that's before. If the gods get here before Oliver, Oliver's already here. We'll have him come up. And then there's somebody here. I cannot read this. It looks like TGPICE. Who's this?
That might be the person that just stepped out.
Okay, well,
No, I mean,
whoever. Anyway, I will, if you can tell me who you are. I don't know if that's a T or a...
Just a second, Natural. Let me have a look.
Yeah.
I'll decipher.
Anyway, so while he's deciphering this, what we do is we will have you come up to the stage. You will play 2 songs.
I think it's
Justice.
right here, Justice.
Oh, Justice. It's a J. Sorry, I thought it was a T. Sorry, Justice. Just trying to put a face. Just trying to put a face on the name so I can call you. So what I do is I try to bring the new people up earlier on. I'll bring up a regular, then a new person, a regular, a new person, a regular, a new person. That way, all you new people that come here and sign up late will get in early. Okay? So we're going to start off the show with Rival. There are 3 simple rules. Every time I try not to say these rules, I fucking regret it. Every time. So I'm going to go over the rules. Rule number 1, the most important rule to open mic at Sacred Grounds is, everybody, shut the fuck up!
Yeah.
I mean that with all the beauty and sincerity in my heart. We're here to hear the artist, and the artist is going out on the internet live, and it's being filmed for them, for their Facebook page. So we don't want to hear you in the goddamn background. Please, if you got to have a conversation, that's why we have tables outside. Go outside, have your 10, 15, 20-minute, hour conversation, and when you're ready to hear the artist, come back in. Is that reasonable?
More than.
The second thing, if you hear something you do not understand or do not like, applaud anyway. It's called good karma or manners. And the reason is, new people who are here sometimes are terrified of this stage. And it's up to you to make them feel welcome and to give them all the intensity and support you can, so you don't ruin them for the rest of their life, and they'll come back again and again and again. And we here at Sacred Grounds are famous for getting new people started, okay? Because this is like my living room, right? and I kick people out of my living room that don't behave. The third rule is, do not play along with the artist, especially new people. If it's a regular like Rainbow or Rival coming up, if you know their song, hop on in. If they ask you to, like Johnny always asks people to, then play along. But if they do not ask, where they are new, listen. Listen. Let them crash and burn on their own, and then support them to get right back up, okay? Those are the rules. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, Rival!
Yeah! Whoso pulleth out this sword is rightwise king of all England. Ah, fuck, and that's pretty much my life. I was fucking there.
Wait a minute, isn't that an axe?
It is an axe, the 12th string. It's an axe, not a sword. I remember when I first.
There you go.
I remember when I first bonded with Ryan Casada, and now I can do takeout orders while I
Yeah,
song.
right.
So sorry if the song gets interrupted. I might have to, help somebody get their Happy Meal outside. When I first met Ryan Casada, took an instant bond to him because here's another kid named Ryan who also has an Ovation guitar. So this is an Ovation. And anyway, I'm going to start off with one of my songs. I just finished an album last December. I don't have any physical copies on me right now, but I do have business cards where you can buy them online. And this is a song from that. This is called Saltwater Blues. Hunger and thirst with aching head, come home with just enough bread, satiated for another few hours, as another spoke on the wheel. I'm not the only one who needs a vent. Each day's wages face tomorrow all spent, losing ourselves up that ladder in vain hope for a better deal. Saltwater blues, just enough to keep you going without direction or refreshment. Saltwater blues, well, it's enough to fill your glass and drain your bone dry. Saltwater blues, keeping us adrift and delusional, slowly sucking up your brains. No stimulus for the restless, only fool can stay sane. To let myself be only alive for the mundane routine, pay dues to the rat race with just enough stamina to do it again and again and again. And I know we're all working and paying our fair share, taxing our nerves, health, wits and hair. Only doing what we want here, so long as it don't interfere with what our livelihood depends. It's all saltwater blues, just enough to keep you floating without direction or refreshment. Saltwater blues, enough to fill your glass and drain your bone dry. Saltwater blues, keeping us adrift and delusional, slowly sapping up your brains. No stimulus for the restless, won't you stick out your hand and pray for rain? My kingdom for the way out. I'd kiss her with cracked lips. They shut her open wide, just in the nick of time. When I'm old, arthritic, and sick, no longer grinding gears, you know I'm free at last for those few remaining years of the wrong chords not yet tumbled past. The vain pursuit of all those dreams I'm too seen now to remember. Saltwater blues, just enough to keep you going without direction or refreshment. Saltwater blues, enough to fill your glass and drain your bone dry. Saltwater blues, keeping us adrift and delusional, slowly sapping up your brains. No stimulus for the restless, only fools.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah. You're all good.
All right.
Rainbow, I know it's customary that I play some George Harrison tunes on your feature night, but will you take some Stevie Wonder instead?
Do your thing, man. I
Will you
love
take?
Stevie
I'm gonna do
Wonder.
some Stevie instead for you.
I love it, man.
All right. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. In fact, I've actually come up with the idea of doing a reimagining of it in folk blues style. Stevie Wonder's Intervisions. That's one of my all-time favorite albums.
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest influences on me. And this is the last track of that. This is called He's Mr. Know-It-All. He's a man with a plan, got a counterfeit dollar in his hand. He's Mr. Know-It-All, playing hard, talking fast, making sure that he won't be the last. He's Mr. Know-It-All, shakes your hand with a smile, knowing all the time that his lies a mile. Know-It-All, must be seen, there's no doubt. He's the coolest one with the biggest mouth. He's Mr. Know-It-All. When you tell him he's living fast, he will say, what do you know? And if you had my kind of cash, you'd have more than one place to go. Any place he will play, his only concern is how much you'll pay. He's Mr. Know-It-All. If he shakes on a bed, well, he's the kind of motherfucker that won't pay his debt. He's Mr. Know-It-All. If you tell him he's living wrong, he'll tell you that he's living right, and you'll be a much better man if you took Mr. Know-It-All's advice. Here's a man with a plan, got a counterfeit dollar in his hand. He's Mr.
together for Rival. Okay, now here's somebody who doesn't come here very often, so he's a newbie. Be kind. Please welcome to the stage, Christopher.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This is my first time at Sacred Ground, so we'll see what happens. I think you'll know this song.
Well, here I go again. I say I want my freedom. Well, who are you to drag me down? It's only right that you would play the way you feel it, but would you listen carefully to the sound of your loneliness? Like the heartbeat drive you mad, and in the stillness of remembering what you had and what you love. You know that thunder only happens when it's raining, and that players only love you when they're playing. And that women, they will come and they will go. And when the rain washes you clean, you'll know. You'll know. You'll know. Well, here I go again. I say I see a crystal vision. I should keep my visions to myself, 'cause it's only me who wants to wrap around your dreams. Tell me, have you any dreams you like to sell? Being alone is like a heartbeat driving mad, and in the stillness of remembering what you had and what you love and what you had, what you love. You know that thunder only happens when it's raining, and that players only love you when they're playing. And that women, they will come and they will go. And that when the rain washes you clean, you know. You know. You know.
I'm going to try something I've been working on, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to get creative with the sound system.
You said you loved me, but your smile said you're fooling, you're faking, still making your mind up. What the fuck do I have to do to you to get through to you? Spending too much time up at night, plus this stage fright buys my mind's alibis, and I will not see that you do not love me, at least for a little while. Here I am now, I'm waiting for you, a bright child can't get it through. The way you acted, it makes me think that you were right all along, and now I'm not sorry. Stepping on the cracks in the sidewalk to stop this mind talk, 'cause the buzz is no fun at night. Swear there's a yellow dot baked upon my heart, shining like the sun. You're far away now, and that's okay now. I love you still, but in a different way now. Think back on everything, it's the same thing. I'm just so green. Here I am now, waiting for you. Bright child can't just get it through. The way you acted, how it makes me think that you were right all along. Still, I'm not sorry.
Thanks very much, Susan Grant.
Put your hands together for Christopher one more time. And now we would like to bring to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, singer-songwriter who's one of our regulars here, Johnny Hernandez.
Looks like we should go play outside tonight, huh?
Somebody,
Starting to look like Bizarre
somebody
Cafe.
brought out a joint, you know
Starting to look like Bizarre
you know how the
Cafe.
hippies are. Hot take precedence over everything.
Oh, yeah.
So if I make these kind of faces, it'll scare them, right?
Oh, Louise. Okay. So I heard a couple of songs about freedom tonight. I'm going to add one more to the list. Whispered words of freedom in your ear, barely making a sound, but the message is loud and clear. Whatever it takes to chase away the doubts, evade the fear. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Written words of freedom on a wall. Graphic shouts of hope translated through a hurried scroll. Statements made in anger that blister and fester in the raw. Written words of freedom on a wall. Written words of freedom on a wall. History too often tends to repeat. Watching it all go down again is painfully bittersweet. Best to remember, lest we forget. People rise to the moment and then fall without a net. Whispering words of freedom with their whispering words of freedom with their dying breath. Whispered words of freedom in your ear, barely making a sound, but the message is loud and clear. Whatever it takes to chase away the doubts, evade the fear. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Autonomy, choice. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Civil rights, deliverance. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Emancipation, free speech. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Free will, independence. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Justice, liberty. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Opportunity, redemption. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Respect, salvation. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Self-determination, freedom. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Freedom. Whispered words of freedom in your ear. Freedom. Yeah. And now, on something a little less serious. If God has a brain and we're the neurons, it's a shame when we act like a bunch of morons. No wonder the universe appears to be getting worse if God has a brain and we're the neurons. We're the neurons. We're the neurons. We're the neurons. Some say that space and time have intelligent design, while others think it's all coincidental. But regardless of your views, no one really knows the truth, and in the end it seems to be inconsequential. If God has a brain and we're the neurons, it's a shame when we act like a bunch of morons. No wonder the universe appears to be getting worse if God has a brain and we're the neurons. We're the neurons. Whoa, we're the neurons. We're the neurons. You can sing along here if you like, all three of you. If God has a brain and we're the neurons, it's a shame when we act like a bunch of morons. If God has a brain and we're the neurons, it's a shame when we act like a bunch of morons. 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 Whether divine intervention or a big bang was the source, it seems to be insanity that we exist at all, of course. Whatever the intention or randomness of it all, I mean, come on, we're flying through space in a tiny bubble, barely clinging to a little mud ball. If God has a brain and we're the neurons, it's a shame when we act like a bunch of morons. No wonder the universe appears to be getting worse if God has a brain and we're the neurons. We're the neurons. Oh, we're the neurons. We're the neurons. We like to think we run the whole shebang, but like a bunch of clueless jerks, we seldom take the time to understand how forever, though we know it's temporary. We strive to prevent change, and that's where we fail miserably. If God has a brain and we're the neurons, it's a shame when we act like a bunch of morons. No wonder the universe appears to be getting worse if God has a brain and we're the neurons. Join in! If God has a brain and we're the neurons, it's a shame when we act like a bunch of morons. If God has a brain and we're the neurons, it's a shame when we act like a bunch of morons. That was fun.
Johnny Hernandez, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, and as Rivo said to me, sounds like a commercial for Fox News.
There you go.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and now let's welcome to the stage Louis, please.
Alright, good.
Stand or sit, Lewis?
I'll sit. Cool. Actually, I want to stand. Change my mind, sorry. We already started it.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Liz.
Hi.
Alright.
Alright, you got 10 minutes.
I'm still new.
So you've been here about 6 or 7 times.
Yeah. Over the course of 6 or 7 years. My friend Oliver is going to join me. Probably all know that.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the song I wrote right before.
You need to ready now.
Just give me a
Okay.
beat. Just give me a good enough. I'll sing while you play the song.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Here we go.
You're just in shock from all the pretty women in your life. It's gonna take you time before you know exactly how to do it right. So hang it on the shelf and enjoy yourself. You can have what you want, you just can't have it now. But if you feel it, you believe it, make it real and you conceive it. Become yourself, there's nobody else. Take the time to do the right thing. With life comes love, and with love comes life. You want to live in the now, to love, and with love to give. And you've got a life you can live. Just take the time to do the right thing. Look inside you to ignite things. Enjoy yourself. Ask nobody else, or hell you know what to do. Become yourself when there's nobody else. Just take the time to do the right thing. from all the pretty women in your new life. It's gonna take you time before you know exactly how to do it right. Doesn't even have a name yet.
You gotta name them, man.
Yeah, I guess.
You gotta name them, otherwise people don't know how to translate them.
Right.
You can
That's
get away
okay.
with one unnamed song.
The name really helps you know how to perform
You
it.
have two of them.
Would you move it that way?
Yeah, I'm just over here, right-handed. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll
He's,
just go
he's
here.
all right. He can bow in any direction.
That's right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's right, Mr. National.
Ambidextrous bowler.
Clairvoyantly guessed the
Yeah,
orientation.
yeah, he bows up and down.
We had like a magical Friday, late night Friday, like tons of street musicians all around in North Beach. And we figured out that we knew this song together.
Yeah.
Nice.
A little green on this one.
Oh yeah, well,
They're also a little red, but, you know, we're also a little green.
sticky.
Yeah, little green influence.
Oh yeah. Una mattina mi san sfilato. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Una mattina mi san sfilato. Io ho trovato le lunghe da partigiano, portami via. Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao da partigiano, portami via, che mi sento di morire. Se io muoio da partigiano, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e se io muoio da partigiano, sotto l'ombra dei Verrai lassì in montagna. E bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Mi separai e lassì in montagna, se sotto l'ombra di un bel Dio. E la gente che passerà. Bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e la gente che passeranno. bella gente, che passerà. Io bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e la gente che passerà mi diranno che bel Dio. Ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Questo è il vio da partigiano.
Lewis, and Lewis accompanied with Oliver, ladies and gentlemen. And so, Dr. Dream, come on up. Get ready.
Dude, that was a killer.
This is a reflex thing.
Step away.
I enjoyed your Fleetwood Mac cover.
So,
So long, Johnny.
see you later, John. So far, so good. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you cooperating with me. I know the sound problem is a little bit of a problem. By the way, when you're outside in front of the door, you're not outside because the door's open, so the sound comes in. It's best to get away and sit at that table over there where everybody was. And every time somebody pulls out a joint, the whole room empties. So we're either going to have to get permission, get one of those licenses where we could turn this into one of those little, clubs, smoke club, right? Or people will have to come with more and just pass one out to everybody, and then they can take their turns. Okay. So tonight we're going to have Dr. Dream here doing her thing, and as you know, she uses these little. Well, they're little like boxes that they use actually for guitar. And she's running a microphone through this, and instead of a guitar, she uses her voice. And then she, like a good Irish woman, tells these lovely little stories and gets us to believe every lie she tells. And that's fabulous. That's what good theater is really about, isn't it? So, without further ado, she might take a little bit more setup, but I'm welcoming to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Dream and her sonic Imaginorium.
Starting the clock.
Uh-oh.
It's the usual bullshit.
Yeah.
Just that bullshit.
Oh, that plug at the top there gets loose there, Doc. All right, yes, use that one. Okay, your other stuff is on now. Yeah, you're up. Depending on electricity. What will we do without General Electric?
A lot more than I'm going
Oh. Anyway. Looks like it's coming through, it's just not your
There we go.
Worst. You're doing good.
Sound person. But anyway. Hi. Yes, we are. Hi, how you doing tonight? I just want to record this fight. I'm going to be able to.
going to trade the place up again. The goddamn thing right there, Dr. Hey, now let's go. There you go. Great. There you go. Okay. Hi. We're back again.
That was just so sick.
Yes, I am Dr. Green. The imagination. And tonight. I'd like to take your imaginations into another realm, as it were. Yeah. So I'd like to take everyone's imaginations and put you in another body. You are in the body of a wicked bad girl, a very wicked queen by the name of Malaria. Who commands a huge cannibal army. And she begins to threaten all who surround her, all her neighbors, all the nations around her. And she marches in with her army. Wow, this is really cool. Hey, look. Let's get him. Hey, you want a leg? Yes. They not only devour lands, but the people on them. Yes. A stoked army. And she takes over the entire world. And gets daily briefings. You know, General Stoner says, let me tell you, let me turn on the echo here, so you can hear me better. Hey, let me tell you, I think it's really cool, but this one country, Orange, is really fucking up, you know? And we can't penetrate them, you know? We can't get through. They've got to have some kind of barrier or something, you know? And another general, General Stonia says, well, I think that, why don't we go under there? And so you agree, it's the queen, and your army digs, but they don't, there's a barrier right underneath the land, the very grass. They can't get into it. And then, one day, a horseman rides to your palace and delivers you a message that reads they're willing to surrender, perhaps. The leader of the Orangians is coming to see you. And so, you wait and make plans the next day and have your entire army of cannibalistic cannabis army surrounding your palace on that very day that this leader's supposed to arrive. And the day and the time arrives, and then you see it. It's the entire nation of orange that has risen into the air. And it drops right on top of you. And suddenly, there's a change of ownership. And cannibalizing is no longer allowed. Yeah, we know what else is, though.
Put your hands together one more time for Dr. Dream, ladies.
Well, just the suitcase. Tell me what to do. Yeah, nothing to use. Got it. Thank you very much. Sorry, gentlemen. But you know, I mean, my mom. Oh, thank you. My tea set. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. You got your rubbers. Yeah. So, a couple weeks ago, I working on my Mr. Natural theme song, and I brought in here with me a piano version that I had played in and sang along with it. And later on in the week, I pulled out my tuba and I put a tuba piece to it, and I liked it so much that suddenly I started getting all these ideas. So I grabbed my banjo and my clarinet, and I made a Dixieland version of the song, which I'd like to play for you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Natural theme song. Mr. Natural, I got this idea in my head, so I thought I'd get you out of bed. You're the only one who can help me make my dreams come true. Everything comes easily for you. I don't want to be any trouble, but can I get that on the double? Mr. Natural, I'm gonna be a big star. With your help, you know I'll go far, 'cause you got everything that I need to take it all the way. But I'm not feeling very well today, so I'm canceling my lesson. As for next week, I'll keep you guessing. Mr. Natural, you've given me so much for free. I think you must really love me, and it's a good thing too, 'cause there's so much more you can help me do. I owe you big time and I'll pay ya due, but you know it's kind of funny. Right now I don't have any money. Mr. Natural says, just get those ideas out of your head. Get over yourself before I'm dead, 'cause you, the only true. If it's valuable, it's hard to do. You really need to dig your ditches. And stop acting like little bitches. Mr. Natural says, hey, you gotta help yourself, my dear friend. You see, my patience has come to an end, because I've shown you the way you have to practice each and every day. Get with a program if you want to play, otherwise you'll keep on sucking. Pack up your stuff and keep on trucking, everybody. Keep on trucking. Get over yourselves. You're ruining my health. Keep on trucking. You're drying up this well. Keep on trucking. Stop ringing my bell. Keep on trucking. Oh, well, we're all going to hell, aren't we? So keep on trucking. Thank you very much. And now, someone who doesn't do any of this stuff, I would like to bring to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Charles Haymarket. Oh, God. Ow. Somebody again. Oh, you guys. It's a 1 pound microphone. It doesn't need to be tied down that much. You got it. Charles Haymarket, let's hear it one more time. Woo-hoo! Yeah.
I wrote these songs and have a little CD that I sell, but these songs aren't on it. Could have been a childhood, yeah, so many games to play. Could have been like Robin Hood, you just took it all away and kept it. And if I even tried to ask you why, I did what I had to do. All you say and your alibis, I like strange disguises, and the words get in your way, but you lose it. Could have been a peaceful time, but they're always planning wars. We suppress life, hiding treasure away, and burying it, and maybe peace was made by being strong. Check it to the break, but whatever went wrong, what all know is false, and we see it on the gods, and the doctor play, I was choosing it. When the real strong tree sways, but it's in the wind, and our those feet I play, I'll feel, and the lights dry. Our roots thin. That's why while the flowers at that grave. Sorry. That's why while the grave. Can't believe I look like that. That's why while the flowers at that grave. And while the grass and rocks splash, anything in my way, it's just my little way of saying thank you very much. When I'm while the flowers at that grave. Yeah, watering the flowers at that grave. Could have been a fine blue ball, yeah, but everything was AIDS. We could have fed the world, measured every dirt, the trash did, and if I even tried to ask you why, I did what I had to do. It's all you say and your alibis. I like strange disguises, and the words get in the way, when you lose it. We could have been so in love, but you gotta know what that means. You got to give your heart, or even made the vow. You've broken it, and maybe peace was made by being strong. We take to the brink, but if we're wrong, but all we know is false, and we see the army gods, and the double doesn't play, why we choose to live. When the real strong tree sways into nowhere, and our idols feet of clay, all brittle, the lies dry. That's why while the flowers at that grave, and while the grass and crowds flash and think in my way, it's just my little way of saying thank you very much. When I'm while the flowers at your grave, I'm watering the flowers at your grave, watering the flowers.
Watering the flowers. Fast or slow is fine. I'd love to hear both.
That's slow.
A bipolar song.
A bipolar song. I'm birhythmic.
Oh, no. That's a TMI.
But the last one you did.
Let's see, what's a good one for you? So I have to play a lot. I give up.
Play that. Texas rock.
This is a little ballad.
Sweet Vagina.
Sitting for the phone under the bar, and they got the more tell them we fell in love with a mouth right now. We broke apart, but live in a world without love anyway? I'm sorry. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? I'm sorry. Who wants to play a game with the rules change? Yeah, they change. When our love moon turned all blood red for war, and they got down more. And we ran to the north to try to be free, and we met only fate. Policy. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? I'm sorry. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? I'm sorry. Who wants to play a game with the rules change? Yeah, they change. Now that I found you, lives in our heart. Step apart, step apart. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? I found you. Who wants to live in a world without love anyway? Just be happy. Who wants to play a game? Life's to breathe again.
Yeah.
Charles Haymarket. Put your hands together for Charles Haymarket. Whew. Well, that always wakes me up. I like that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, someone who's never been here before, please, 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 welcome to the stage, Peace.
Justice, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. What the hell am I doing? I'm sorry, Justice.
No justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
No
Fuck
justice,
the
no
police.
peace. Fuck the police.
Fuck the police.
So John and I are going to sing All We Are Saying is Give Justice a Chance.
Or the booze, dope, sex, crime, off the pigs, seize the time. Justice, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. Hi, how are you doing? I'm gonna do a song by someone you may or may not know. Her name's Janelle Monáe. She's really great. The only part is that I'm speaking out, so I'm gonna get tell you a fun story. I got this guitar for $60 in the mission. The dude wanted 75 for it. I had $50 in my pocket. I said, I'm not leaving until I get this guitar. I spent 3 days going from pawn shop to pawn shop, from thrift store to thrift store, looking for the perfect guitar, annoying the fuck out of everyone. So like, I want to play that one. I want to play that one. I want to play that one. And they're like, why do you want the ones up there? Well, I didn't put them up.
Doesn't that look good?
Yeah, right.
No, no.
I want it to feel good.
And then the store was closing, and he was like, well, the store is closing. I said, but I want to play it. That's not my problem.
A little pressure on them for once. Look, we'll lower the price. Just go away. Please.
And then I'm not leaving until I get this. And he said, well, I can't give it to you for 50. So I'll give it to you for 60. I said, good.
That's the blues right there.
Oliver, of the gods of
The way you are now, you're never gonna make the bus. Everybody's so impressed. You got new Android stream of electric sheep under your pillow. I saw you spit on London just like you were a piece of hand. The way you are now, you're never gonna make it in my kitchen. Still, everybody's so excited. I'm sorry, I'm a lot better than this. Let's try this again. That sucks so bad, I can't even. I'm not even gonna do that. Let's try it this way. The way you are now, you're never gonna make the bus. Still, everybody's so impressed. You got two androids, dream of electric sheep under your pillow. Oh. I saw you spit on London just like you were a piece of man. The way you are now, you're never gonna make it in my kitchen. Still, everybody's so excited. Last time I was here, I was convinced I was your favorite warrior. Oh. I got a terrible fixation. Can't get it off my mind. Don't really want to get to know it better. Don't really want to get to know it better. Just wanna keep it in the realm of fantasy. You wanted me just for a holiday, or was it to pad your resume? Do what you give me but unwanted breakthroughs? Strange how certain details subvert everything. OMG, oh girl, we been through hell about it. Then we'll see our friends and everybody's so excited. I'm standing over you eating juicy fruits till it gets in your eyes. Oh. I got a terrible fixation. Can't get it off my mind. Don't really want to get to know it. Just want to keep it in the realm of fantasy. I've got a terrible fixation. Can't get it off my mind. Don't really want to get to know it better. Want to keep it in the realm of fantasy. I've got a terrible fixation, can't get it off my mind. I really want to get to know it better. Want to keep it in the realm of fantasy. Well, that was a great rendition of Janelle Monáe's
Yeah.
Make the Best. Didn't make that, but that's okay. At least I tried. So easy to do in your room by yourself. So, in light of that, try. I'm going to do something that I practiced a billion times. Let's do a poem. I might embarrass myself. Let's do a poem.
Told you a billion times not to exaggerate.
I don't wanna be the filler in the void is only yours. I don't wanna be a glass of single bubble whiskey hidden in a bottom drawer. And I don't wanna be a bandage if the wound is not mine. Lend me some fresh air. Oh, I don't wanna be adored for what I merely represent to you. I don't wanna be your babysitter, you're a very big boy now. I don't wanna be your mother, I didn't carry you if I won't for 9 months. Show me the back door. Visiting hours are 9 to 5, and if I show up at 10 past 6, well I already know that she'll find some way to sneak me in and find the empty bottle with the hole along the bottom. You see, it's too much to ask for, and I am not the doctor. I am not the I don't wanna be the sweeper of VHLs that you walk upon, and I don't wanna be your other half. I believe that 1 and 1 make 2. I don't wanna be the food of the I don't wanna be the food of the light on the fridge. You face at midnight. Hey, what are you hungry for? I don't wanna be the glue that holds your pieces together. I don't wanna be your idol. See, this pedestal is high and I'm afraid of heights. I don't wanna be lifted away vicarious occasionally. Open the window. Visiting hours are 9 to 5, and if I show up at 10 past 6, well I already know that you'll find some way to sneak me in and find the empty bottle with the holes along the bottom. You see, it's too much to ask for, and I am not the doctor. I am not the I don't know what the rest of the lyrics are right now, but I'll just keep going. I don't want to be responsible for your fractured heart and its wounded feet. I don't want to be a substitute for the smoke you've been inhaling. Well, what do you take me? What do you take me for? Visiting hours are 9 to 5, and if I show up at 10 past 6, well I already know that you'll find some way to sneak me in and find the empty bottle with the holes along the bottom. You see, it's too much to ask for, and I am not the doctor. I am not the Put
Put your hands together for justice, ladies. Thank you, Joseph. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the stage James Conrad in the reading of his book.
Yeah.
And here comes Oliver.
Here come on.
And that was such a cool justice. I loved it. I love the thing about the
You've got
fantasy.
great
That
words.
melody with the fantasy is yeah.
Just gotta move so I don't get my scalp singed by the light there.
Just give me the
Yeah, you're tall enough to burn.
Okay, the alleged victim. Okay, we was just getting some logistical specifics covered. But now on to the show. My name is James Conrad. Thanks for having me once again at the open mic hosted by Mr. Natural at Sacred Grounds. Directly behind me and to my left is Oliver, a fantastic multi-instrumentalist and very gifted and unique violinist. Kid's got a sound.
Great tennis.
And I have a book that I'm selling these here for $10. It's a book called Zurdo Cleans House. It was previously published on latest.com. And it's basically a story about how there is no justice in the legal system and how easy it is to railroad somebody. And we will see that in action in the case of the people of the state of California versus Lorenzo Carlos Ruiz in episode 11 of Zurdo Cleans House. When court had adjourned for lunch, Gregory Keene took his stepson to eat at the McDonald's in downtown San Jose. Gregory Keene, sitting across the table from Casey, looked him in the eye. "Just remember," he said, "if either of the two lawyers asks you a question that you don't feel comfortable answering or don't know how to answer, the law gives you the right to say that you don't want to talk about it. You understand?" "Yes, sir," said Casey, looking back at his father through intimidated eyes, a meek expression on his face. He nibbled on a half-eaten French fry and took a tiny bite of his cheeseburger, washing it down with a small sip of Coca-Cola. "And whatever you do, don't say anything that will get me in trouble, because that will cause problems for you too." Gregory Keene gave his stepson a foreboding look. "Okay?" "Okay, sir," said Casey. After Gregory Keene and Casey finished eating, he drove them back to the Hall of Justice, where they found their way to the courtroom and took their seats. A short while afterward, Judge Connors took his place behind the bench, and Kendall Reichert called Casey Keene to the witness stand. As Casey fidgeted a little in his seat, Mr. Reichert looked him in the eye. "Casey, are you acquainted with the defendant, Lorenzo Carlos Ruiz?" he asked. "I don't know," said Casey, blinking his eyes with apprehension. "I know a guy named Zurdo. He used to cut the lawn and trim the bushes at my house." A ripple of chuckles coursed through the gallery. Judge Connors hammered his gavel to restore order. As the courtroom once again fell silent, Mr. Reichert smiled at Casey and continued his questioning. "Indeed," he said, "Zurdo is the defendant's nickname." "Okay," said Casey, "then yeah, I do know him." "Do you see him in the courtroom today?" "Yeah," mumbled Casey, his tone hushed as he gave his head a couple of small but affirmative shakes. "I'm going to need you to speak up. I can't hear you very well." Casey cleared his throat. "Yes," he said, this time a little louder. "Can you point him out from the court?"
Yes, said Casey with a nod, and pointed his finger at Zurdo, who sat by his lawyer with a morose expression, eyes cast downward. Mr. Reichert turned to Judge Connors. Let the record show that the witnesses identified the defendant, Lorenzo Carlos Ruiz, he said. Noted, said Judge Connors. Mr. Reichert turned back to Casey. How long have you known the defendant, he asked. I think I met him when I was 6, so almost 3 years, I guess. And how often did you see Mr. Ruiz? Zurdo, said Casey. He came to our house once a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week during the spring and summer. And you mentioned that you did gardening and landscaping on your house, yes? Yes. Please tell the court about your interactions with the defendant. He was friendly, said Casey, taking a deep breath. He got me presents for my birthday a couple of times. Was there ever a time when you were in his company or care without the supervision of your mother and or your father? Casey hesitated, chewing his bottom lip. About once or twice a month, Mom and Dad had to work at the same time, so they would have Zurdo keep an eye on me. Uh-huh. And in which sort of activities did you two engage while the defendant was trusted to look after you? Casey paused. Can you repeat the question? What did you two do during your time in each other's company? Oh, we'd go to the park and play frisbee or throw the football around. Sometimes we'd play board games or video games, stuff like that. Did the defendant ever stay at your mother and stepfather's house overnight? No. During these times, did he ever touch you in ways that seemed strange, perhaps inappropriate? Casey took a deep breath and looked around the courtroom. Once he made eye contact with his stepfather, the latter mouthed to him, "It's okay. Just tell the truth," and gave him a subtle wink. With fearful eyes as big as saucers, Casey let out an anxious sigh through his nostrils. "Yeah," he said. Kendall Reichert leaned over and handed Casey a lifelike baby doll that had been stripped of its clothes. "Show me on the doll where the defendant touched you," he said. Casey held up the doll so that its front faced the spectators and the jury in the courtroom and pointed between the doll's legs. He then turned around and pointed to the doll's backside. An astonished but hushed clamor of gasps echoed among the jurors and spectators, though Zurdo's family groaned and clucked their tongues, expressing angered disbelief at the notion that Zurdo would have abused any child, let alone his client's stepson. Judge Connors reached for his gavel and banged it several times, calling for order. "And how often did this occur?" asked Mr. Reichert. "Whenever Mom and Dad both had to work," said Casey, hyperventilating as his voice cracked and his eyes welled with tears. "So, whenever you and the defendant were alone, yes?" asked Kendall Reichert. "Yes," said Casey. 2 tears spilled down his cheeks and he wiped them away in a flash. Mr. Reichert turned to Judge Connors. "I have no further questions, Your Honor." "Thank you, Counselor," said Judge Connors. "Mr. Stevens, the witness is yours for cross-examination." "Thank you, Your Honor," said Richard Stevens as he moved in the direction of the witness stand. He looked Casey in the eye. "Casey, you mentioned that whenever your mother and stepfather left you alone with Zurdo, he abused you. Do you recall what time of day the abuse took place?" Casey hesitated, clearing his throat, swallowing, and taking a few deep breaths as his cheeks began to burn, flushing with blood. "Was it in the morning, the afternoon, the evening?" "I don't remember," said Casey in a weak voice. "But do you remember being abused, don't you?" "You said so." All of a sudden, Casey began to yell, "I don't want to talk about it anymore, all right?" Judge Connors reached for his gavel and put it back down as an uneasy hush had followed over the courtroom. After a few tense seconds, Mr. Stevens broke the silence to tell Judge Connors he had no further questions. "Very well," said Judge Connors. "The witness is excused. Court is adjourned and we will reconvene tomorrow at 9 o'clock. With that, he brought the head of his gavel upon the anvil on the bench. After Casey stepped down from the witness stand, he made quick tracks for his seat. Halfway there, he stopped dead in his tracks.
Gasping, wheezing, and clutching his chest, he began to slouch and sink to his knees. Everybody in the courtroom spun to look at him as Gregory Keene bounded forward, facing them down with a roaming, severe stare. Everybody stay where you are, goddammit, he snapped, taking his stepson's inhaler from his pocket. Give the kid some room. Once Gregory Keene reached his son, he handed him the inhaler. With a trembling hand, Casey held it to his lips, breathed in a couple of quick blasts, took a few deep breaths, then coughed and cleared his throat. Son, said Gregory Keene, turning Casey's head with a gentle prod until they both made eye contact. Are you okay? Casey coughed again. Yeah, he said, tears flowing down his cheeks. After he composed himself with a couple deep breaths and wiped his eyes, court was adjourned once more, and he followed his stepfather out of the courtroom. Thank you very much. And if any of you are keen on a copy of Zerto Cleans House, please come see me. I've got copies available at $10. And give it up for Oliver. And thank you again, Mr. Natural. And folks, enjoy the rest of the show.
James Conrad, put your hands together for James Conrad and Oliver. Now we'd like to welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, a very unusual voice who gives a wonderful performance. Let's hear it for Matt, please.
Well, that was tough emotionally, but we got through it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a pretty dark book.
Hello, hello, hello.
Let's hear it for Matt.
Alright, so both these songs are from my last album, which is available on mattcapman.com. New album, I'm going for the jugular on NQ, but that's another story. So until then, this is what we got. So many nights I've gazed at the sky, watching the stars and moon. In the end, I'm left with a sigh, no answers coming soon. Yeah, fun. Keep on walking on the trail, no fears left to subdue, except the one of being frail at the moment of high noon. How much farther do I need to go? How many falls before I know the rise and flow? Getting to the bridge so long, across the need to tread. Can't see how far the fog is strong. Got to go or I'll be dead. One step at a time, the planks are worn. The rope is wearing thin. Before I know it, the line is torn, falling down once again. How much farther do I need to go? How many falls before I know the rise and flow? From the abyss, start on the right, with everything you have. When getting pushed, fight or flight, a joke from the past. All types of beings that you'll meet, not all are human. What it means from your feet will be a foreign land. How much farther do I need to go? How many falls before I know the rise
beyond the world of blue. Kind of saying like, fuck the moon and all kinds of other good stuff. Alright. So anybody that believes in reincarnation, here we go. How many times will be taken? The process is on its own. Nobody knows what's been planted, the fate that is sown. Try to start to do what's right. So much left along the way, in the light or in the night, signs that lead astray. Is it only a dream to ever make it through? Try so hard to see beyond this world of gloom. Beyond this world of gloom. Thank you, Mr. Natural. Yeah.
You nailed
For the drunk poet scene, blah blah blah. Maybe in another language, the purpose is never shown. Confusion for anything strange. Good luck when trying to grow. Hear the strings of music waves rippling out from a source, from a fire or in your brain. Follow along the course. Is it only a dream to ever make it through? Try so hard to see beyond this world of blue. Beyond this world of blue. Well, if I could. Don't worry about it.
This one's dropped. Can't drop that one.
Leaving scales and shedding skins, hearing chords from different realms, together for all to win, in calm or the storms. From drums to the highest flutes, the strings signify a change, moving on through endless hoops, aware to escape the cage. Is it only a dream to ever make it through? Try so hard to see beyond this world of blue. Beyond this world of blue. Thank you, Mr. Natural.
Wow! Yeah.
Put your hands together for Matt, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Matt. And by the way, keep that pick. What I handed Matt was what's called a rock star pick, which is a pick I've been endorsing. It's a dropless pick. It has a hole in it, so you can't. So the pick can't get sweaty and jump out of your hands. So up next, I'd like to bring to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, even though I'm an atheist, I bring to the stage the gods.
Yes, that's true integrity. So is there any reverb on the app? James Lane loves reverb.
No, there's no reverb.
Okay, is there a way to do the chorus maybe?
You could put it on, but it won't do anything.
Oh, it won't do anything.
It only happens when you plug things into the aux.
Oh, okay.
It's only for microphone only.
Yeah, I'll make it super low. Alright.
Do it by pipe wheel shall be the whole of the sound.
That's Crowley, eh?
Yes, Alistair Crowley, 101.
The Equinox of the Gods, Vernal Equinox 2015.
Thank you, Mr. Natural. This poem is called Glistening. It's dedicated to Meineliba Daisy Flower in Vienna, Austria, the far-flung member of the gods. The gods perform miracles through art. Our first act was to announce our love to the world through erotic poetry. Writing poetry together, we make love with our voices and eyes and fingertips all day. She dances and purrs and smokes and watches me watch her with a painter's eyes. Nothing can distract me. She rises in the middle of a crowded cafe and heaves the handful of white rose petals into the atmosphere. Coloring the air with natural perfume, we have nude picnics in the Garden of Eden. She writes poems on my wrist while I sleep. We play with knives and feed glistening fruit to one another's lips. Spring and autumn meet in her eyes. We attend the sunsets with sunglasses and Prosecco. Her kisses leave a trace of glitter. Creating worlds with words, we make a scene on any street corner we please with impromptu readings of Shakespeare's tale of star-crossed lovers. This is our moment in paradise. We are timeless. This fruit is dripping, drunk with innocence and fraught with new horizons. Thank you.
A poem by the gods. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Oliver Francis, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Oliver to the stage.
The first page was undone. Wow. Oh, lightning. Thank you, Mr. Adams. We're having some rounds.
Between these and we can plug this in.
Oh, cool. Battery? Yeah, that's good.
And this.
Oliver, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And that's it for our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for coming. Next week, our feature is going to be Lewis. You heard him earlier. Kid with the long hair that played with Oliver at first. He'll be here next week from 7 until 7:30. So until then, good night and good riddance, everyone. Matt, can I talk to you about doing a feature?
Yeah. When